Do you know anyone who has spent their whole life trying to achieve something meaningful, yet they always fall back into the same patterns? Maybe they say they want to start a business, get fit, learn a skill, or finally bring order to their life. And for a few days, they show incredible motivation. They wake up early, make big plans, push themselves with intensity. But then life hits. Work gets busy. Stress grows. Their energy drops. And slowly, everything collapses. That dream that felt so close disappears, and they end up right where they started, convinced that they just aren't disciplined enough. You've probably met someone who said, "This time I'm going to change for real." They bought new equipment, cleaned their room, made a perfect plan, and decided to transform everything at once. But the moment reality pushed back, the whole plan fell apart. Maybe that person is someone you know, or maybe that person is you. But what if I told you that Japan has a method that can help you achieve anything you want in life without burning out, without relying on motivation, and without trying to change your entire world overnight? A method built on two ancient concepts: Kaizen, the art of improving through tiny, almost invisible steps, and Gaman, the power to endure discomfort with dignity and inner calm. These two ideas are the quiet engines behind Japan's greatest successes. They are simple, practical, and incredibly powerful. But I need to warn you, this goes against what motivational coaches try to sell you. It requires patience. It requires humility. And it forces you to embrace actions so small that your ego will hate them. Before we continue, I invite you to subscribe, like the video, and comment below. What is the one goal you've been trying to achieve for years? I read every comment, and many of the videos on this channel were inspired by your stories. Actually, the idea for this one came from a subscriber who said he wanted to finally become disciplined, but didn't know where to start. Thank you for being here. Now, let's get back to the video. Chapter 1. The Mountain You Can't Climb. There comes a moment in every person's life when they look at themselves and realize they are far from the person they want to be. Not just a little off track, but completely disconnected from the version of themselves they imagined years ago. Maybe you felt this when you woke up one morning and noticed how much time has passed. Or when you tried to change a habit but failed again. Or when you realized you've been carrying the same goals for years without ever getting close to them. That heavy feeling, the sense that your dream sits on top of a mountain that keeps getting taller. That's where most people begin. And if you've ever felt this, you're not alone. In fact, almost everyone who tries to change their life starts with something huge. I'm going to transform everything. I'm going to become disciplined. I'm going to fix all my flaws at once. It sounds noble. It feels powerful. But it almost always leads to failure. Because the truth is simple. People don't fail because their goal is too big. They fail because their first step is too big. Think about the last big goal you set. You were probably full of energy. You made a plan, maybe even bought something new to motivate yourself. But that excitement vanished the moment life became inconvenient. You told yourself you were too tired. You needed to rest. You would start again tomorrow. That tomorrow never came. And this is where the Japanese philosophy of achievement starts its lesson. Because in Japan, greatness isn't built on the first day of enthusiasm. It's built on the days when you feel nothing, but still show up in the smallest way possible. But before we go deeper into Kaizen and Gaman, we need to understand why so many people struggle at the base of the mountain. Why change feels impossible. Why discipline feels out of reach. Why progress feels invisible. And it begins with a simple truth that almost no one talks about. You don't lack discipline. You lack a system built for real human beings. Most people treat discipline like a personality trait. They think some people are born motivated, hardworking, productive, and everyone else is lazy. Nothing could be further from the truth. Discipline is not natural. It is not automatic. It is not something you just have. What truly separates those who change their lives from those who don't is something else entirely. A system that allows failure, fatigue, and frustration, and still keeps moving forward. But you've probably never been taught this. Instead, society tells you to rely on motivation, to push harder, to be stronger, to want it more. That advice works for a few days, maybe a week, but eventually your body reminds you that you're human. You get tired, you get stressed, your willpower drops. You return to old habits because they're familiar, comforting, automatic. What most people call a lack of discipline is just the brain trying to survive. And here's the worst part. The moment you fail, shame kicks in. You start telling yourself stories. You're weak. You're lazy. You'll never change. You repeat this enough times, and eventually you believe it. You identify with your failure, as if it's your personality instead of just a strategy that didn't work. But here is the truth Japan teaches us. Change doesn't fail because you're weak. Change fails because your method is violent. Yes, violent. When you try to transform everything at once, you declare war on your mind, your habits, your emotions, your routines. No wonder your brain pushes back. Your brain is not built for sudden revolutions. It is built for slow, adaptive shifts. This is where the Japanese philosophy begins its quiet correction. Because in Japan, the path to achieving anything meaningful is not built on dramatic change. It is built on gentle, almost invisible movement. Movement so small that the brain doesn't feel threatened. But before we reach that point, we need to fully understand the enemy. The overwhelming pressure people carry when they try to change their lives. Let's go deeper. The truth about big goals. When you set a big goal, like losing weight, building a business, learning a skill, or fixing your life, you experience something powerful, a rush of hope. You imagine the future version of yourself. You feel the excitement. You picture the results. This feeling is addictive. It's the emotional high of self-improvement. But then reality enters. And reality does not care about your excitement. Reality cares about your daily actions. Reality cares about your patience. Reality cares about whether you can endure boredom, discomfort, and slow progress without breaking. This is why so many people quit. They chase the emotion of change, not the process of change. They want to feel transformed immediately. They want to feel successful quickly. They want visible results fast. But every meaningful achievement in life, every single one, follows a simple formula. Consistent small steps plus time plus endurance equals transformation. Not glamorous, not exciting, not dramatic, just real. But most people don't know how to take small steps. They know only two speeds, all in or nothing. And when the all in collapses, the nothing comes quickly. This is the core tragedy of self-improvement. People with real potential destroy themselves with unrealistic expectations. Japan offers a different way. And to understand it, we need to travel back to the early days of Japanese craftsmanship and culture. Times when survival depended not on intensity, but on consistency. Why Japan thinks about progress differently. Japan is a country shaped by earthquakes, storms, wars, and constant rebuilding. Nothing stayed stable for long. So the culture naturally evolved around one truth. You cannot control the world. You can only control your next step. They learned to build systems, daily movements, small rituals, gentle routines that kept progress alive even when the world collapsed around them. A swordsmith didn't create a perfect katana in a day. A monk didn't reach enlightenment in a week. A calligrapher didn't master their brush in a month. Instead, they improved by fractions. Invisible progress, unseen refinement, repeated countless times. Because the Japanese understood something most people ignore. Big results come from tiny improvements that compound over time. This is the seed of Kaizen, the heart of Gaman. The reason Japan produces some of the world's most consistent, precise, and disciplined individuals. Not because they work harder, but because they work steadier. And that's what most people today lack. A steady process that survives life storms. The real reason you haven't achieved your goal yet. It's not because you're not trying. It's not because you don't care. It's not because you don't want it badly enough. It's because you've been climbing the mountain the wrong way. You try to jump to the top instead of taking the first small step. You try to lift a boulder instead of starting with a stone. You try to rewrite your entire identity in 1 week instead of building it quietly over months. And the worst part? You expect yourself to succeed under these impossible conditions. Imagine if a teacher handed a child a thick book and said, "Read it right now. All of it. No breaks. No mistakes." We would call that ridiculous. Yet that's exactly how adults treat themselves when trying to change. But what if you approached your life like a Japanese craftsman? What if you stopped trying to finish the entire journey in a day? What if you focused only on the next step? What if you allowed yourself to grow slowly, steadily, without violence? This is where transformation truly begins. Because the goal isn't to crush the mountain. The goal is to move 1 inch today, 1 inch tomorrow, and 1 inch the next day, until the mountain itself reshapes around you. And this is exactly what Kaizen and Gaman teach us. Before we move to the next chapter, I want you to remember this. You don't need a dramatic transformation. You need a gentle, consistent beginning. That beginning can be so small that no one notices. That beginning can be quiet. That beginning can feel almost meaningless. But that is the power of it. Because the first step of Kaizen is always this. Make the smallest improvement you can make today, so small your brain doesn't resist it. And the first step of Gaman is this. Endure the discomfort of slow progress with patience and dignity. Together, they form the foundation of achieving anything. Chapter 2. The power of a step so small it looks like nothing. When people think about achieving a big dream, they picture huge changes. Waking up at 4 a.m., running 10 kilometers, cutting sugar completely, working for hours without distraction, reading a book every week, becoming a new person overnight. It sounds impressive. It looks inspiring. But in reality, it falls apart fast. Because big change requires big energy. Big energy requires a big emotional high. And emotional highs don't last. This is the flaw in the way most people approach improvement. They depend on excitement. They depend on motivation. They depend on the feeling of "I can do this." But motivation is unpredictable. It's unstable. And it disappears exactly when you need it the most. That is why the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen became one of the most effective systems for permanent change. It doesn't ask you to destroy your old life in one move. It doesn't ask you to fight your weaknesses. It doesn't ask you to suddenly become a different person. It asks for something much smaller. So small that most people ignore it. So small that it almost looks useless. But that tiny step is the first brick of a life you can actually build. Let's go deeper into why. The illusion of the big start. There is something funny about the human mind. We love beginnings. We love the dramatic moment where we declare, starting tomorrow, I will change my life. But the problem isn't the beginning. The problem is what comes after. Anyone can start with intensity. Anyone can force themselves for a few days. Anyone can push with excitement. But intensity collapses under stress. And life is full of stress. Your job, your family, your health, your routines, your lack of sleep, your responsibilities. Intensity gets crushed. But small steps survive. Because small steps don't fight your life. They fit into your life. This is why Kaizen works for people who failed everything else. It removes the emotional pressure that destroys change. Most people think they fail because they lack discipline. But the truth is simple. The step they chose was too big for the lifestyle they currently have. Kaizen fixes this by asking for something ridiculously simple. Start with the smallest improvement that does not trigger resistance. This may feel like nothing at first, but that is the point. We need to dismantle the idea that progress must feel heroic. In reality, progress often feels boring, almost invisible. A person who wants to get fit doesn't need to run 5 miles. They can start with 5 minutes, or 1 minute, or simply putting on their shoes and stepping outside. A person who wants to write a book doesn't need to write 10 pages. They can start with 1 sentence. A person who wants to meditate doesn't need 30 minutes. They can start with 30 seconds. A person who wants to break an addiction doesn't need to quit instantly. They can start by delaying the urge by 1 minute. Change doesn't begin with transformation. Change begins with gentleness. This is the heart of Kaizen, the psychology behind tiny actions. Why do tiny steps work so well? Because they bypass the brain's fear system. Your brain hates discomfort. It hates uncertainty. It hates large changes. The moment you make a big plan, your brain activates threat detection. It sees your plan as dangerous because it requires too much energy. But small actions? Small actions feel safe. Your brain barely notices them. This is why the smallest habit is the strongest habit. Because it has no enemies inside you. Think of a plant. When it first grows, it's fragile. A small push can break it. But once the roots spread deep into the earth, nothing can remove it. Your habits work the same way. Big habits break early. Small habits become permanent. This is what makes Kaizen so powerful. It builds roots, not explosions. Explosions look impressive. Roots last a lifetime. Why small steps feel too easy, and why that's good. One of the biggest problems people face with Kaizen is that it feels too easy. People say, "How can something so small change my life? It doesn't feel like progress. This can't be enough. I need to work harder." But this is the trap. People don't quit because progress is too slow. People quit because expectations are too big. Tiny steps remove the pressure. Tiny steps remove the drama. Tiny steps remove the emotional weight that usually makes you quit. Let me give you an example. Imagine two people trying to improve their life. Person A, big steps, sets a massive workout routine, tries to change sleep, diet, and habits in 1 week, pushes hard for a few days, burns out, stops completely, feels ashamed, waits for motivation to return, repeats the cycle. Person B, Kaizen, starts with 3 minutes of stretching, slowly adds 1 more minute every week, builds consistency, never triggers burnout, slowly becomes fitter, progress compounds. After months, becomes stronger than person A ever did, who achieved more. Not the person with ambition, not the person with intensity, the person who did the smallest thing consistently. Ambition fails without patience. Intensity collapses without strategy. Kaizen is powerful because it doesn't care about the size of your step. It cares about the direction. When small steps feel embarrassing, let's talk honestly. Small steps can feel embarrassing. If you do only 1 push-up, part of you feels weak. If you write 1 sentence, part of you feels unproductive. If you meditate for 30 seconds, part of you feels like you didn't really try. But that embarrassment is ego, not progress. Progress is not emotional. Progress is mathematical. 1 step repeated for 365 days beats 30 steps done for 5 days. You don't need to impress anyone. You don't need to prove anything. You don't need your progress to be loud. Let it be quiet. Let it be invisible. Let it be small. That is how mastery begins. The slow transformation that no one notices. Here's something beautiful about Kaizen. At first, no one notices your progress. It's invisible. But slowly, your energy changes. Your habits change. Your identity changes. Your standards change. Your limits change. Your self-respect changes. People begin asking, "How did you become so disciplined? How did you manage to achieve this? What's your secret?" And you'll smile because the truth is simple. You stopped chasing big breakthroughs and started showing up consistently. The transformation happens so gradually that you don't even realize you've changed. This is the most powerful part of the process. Kaizen doesn't force you into transformation. It grows you into it. How Kaizen reduces failure by 90%. Most goals fail for 3 reasons. The step is too big. The pressure is too high. The system collapses the moment life gets stressful. Kaizen solves all 3. 1. The step is small enough to succeed every day. There is no resistance, no pressure, no mental battle. 2. The progress is consistent, not emotional. You don't rely on motivation. You rely on repetition. 3. The system survives real life. You can always do the smallest version of your habit no matter how tired you are. This is the secret to achieving anything. Not force, not intensity, not perfection. Consistency that cannot be broken. The hidden strength of small steps. Identity shift. Every time you take a small step, something powerful happens. Your identity shifts. If you walk for 1 minute today, you are a person who moves. If you read for 1 page today, you are a reader. If you write 1 sentence today, you are a writer. If you resist a bad habit for 1 minute today, you are someone who can control impulses. Identity creates behavior. Behavior shapes identity. Small steps are the bridge that connects the life you want with the person you currently are. Where Gaman enters the picture. Kaizen builds consistency. Gaman sustains it. Gaman is the Japanese concept of enduring difficult moments with patience and dignity. This philosophy teaches something essential. There will be days when you don't feel like doing the small step. Do it anyway. You don't need to push hard. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to enjoy it. Just show up. The discomfort will pass. The progress will remain. Gaman is the quiet strength behind every small action. Without it, Kaizen collapses. With it, Kaizen becomes unstoppable. Your first step today. Before we move to the next chapter, I want you to choose 1 small improvement you can make today. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Not when you feel ready. Today. Make it so small your brain laughs at it. Make it so easy you can't fail. Make it so gentle you don't resist it. This is your true beginning. Because greatness doesn't start with a transformation. Greatness starts with a step that looks like nothing, but becomes everything. Chapter 3. The discipline you build when no one is watching. There is a truth people avoid because it sounds uncomfortable. The most important moments of your life are the ones no one sees. The quiet hours. The private struggles. The choices made in silence. The discipline built without applause. The effort done when you feel invisible. This is where your real identity is formed. Not in public. Not when people praise you. Not when life feels easy. Your strength is built in the dark. Your discipline is shaped in solitude. Your life changes when you choose the right action, even when no one will ever know. This is where Kaizen and Gaman become powerful together. One builds the structure. The other builds the soul. Kaizen is the step. Gaman is the endurance. Together, they form a system that quietly builds a person who cannot be broken by pressure, hardship, or self-doubt. Let's go deeper into this quiet discipline. The discipline that lasts. Why discipline fails for most people. Many people think discipline is built through motivation, inspiration, or willpower. But willpower is like a match. It burns bright for a moment, then dies quickly. And most people use all their energy trying to discipline themselves with intensity. They force themselves through huge changes, as if they can sprint their way into a new life. But discipline is not built through emotional fire. Discipline is built through emotional stability. Imagine a person who tries to start a fitness routine by waking up extremely early, doing a hard workout, skipping meals, and forcing themselves to go beyond their limits every day. For a while, they feel proud. They feel strong. They feel disciplined. But the moment life hits them with stress, sickness, lack of sleep, or unexpected problems, everything collapses. Why? Because the discipline was built on effort, not structure. It required too much energy. It wasn't sustainable. This is the hidden flaw in most self-improvement approaches. They rely on human strength instead of human nature. Kaizen and Gaman respect human nature. They work with your psychology, not against it. And that is why the discipline they build lasts. The power of micro-discipline. When people hear discipline, they imagine harsh routines. But discipline is not about force. It's about repetition. It's the ability to do something small, consistently, without waiting for the perfect moment. This is micro-discipline. Micro-discipline is doing 1 push-up, 1 minute of reading, 1 sentence of writing, 1 moment of restraint, 1 breath before reacting, 1 small refusal of a bad habit, 1 simple step forward. Microdiscipline is small enough to repeat, easy enough to maintain, and consistent enough to change your life. Because microdiscipline doesn't rely on emotional energy. It relies on structure and identity. When you repeat something small every day, your brain starts to accept it as part of who you are. Not something you do, something you are. That is the beginning of unstoppable discipline. The psychology of private discipline. Discipline becomes powerful when you stop performing for others and start performing for your future self. Think about this. If no one praises you, would you still improve? If no one notices your progress, would you still continue? If no one tells you you're doing well, would you still show up? If the answer is yes, then discipline has moved from the external world to the internal world. Most people rely on external accountability. They need praise, recognition, or results to stay consistent. But external motivation has a fatal weakness. It disappears when life becomes quiet. Internal discipline doesn't depend on anything outside you. It's built through the small choices you repeat when the world isn't paying attention. When you choose not to overeat in private. When you choose to study even when no one will check. When you choose to meditate even when there is no reward. When you choose to exercise even when no one is watching. This is the discipline that builds empires. This is the discipline that transforms a person's entire life. Because consistency done in public is easy. Consistency done in private is real. How Gaman reinforces daily consistency. Gaman teaches something profound. There will always be days when you feel tired, unmotivated, stressed, or discouraged. The world will not adjust itself to your goals. Your responsibilities will not pause for your dreams. Your emotions will not always cooperate with your plans. And yet, Gaman tells you to endure with quiet strength. Not explosive strength. Not heroic strength. Not the strength people admire. But the gentle strength that keeps you moving forward when every part of you wants to stop. The strength to show up, continue, endure discomfort, accept imperfection, move forward in small steps. This endurance is the backbone of discipline. Even if you only do the smallest version of your habit, you still win. Even if your energy is low, you still show up. Even if your progress is slow, you still move. Gaman removes the idea that discipline requires perfection. Instead, it teaches that persistence, however small, is victory. This is how discipline becomes unbreakable. Discipline is not what you think it is. People assume discipline is about rejecting pleasure and forcing yourself into discomfort. But real discipline is something else entirely. Real discipline is choosing the action that aligns with your identity, not your mood. Real discipline is showing up even when you don't feel ready. Real discipline is repeating small things until they become who you are. Real discipline is accepting that you won't always feel motivated, but you will always have control over one small step. And here's something people rarely talk about. Real discipline feels boring. It doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't feel heroic. It doesn't feel intense. Because discipline is not built through big moments. It's built through repetition of simple actions. When people say, "I want to change my life," they're usually imagining the breakthrough moment, the big transformation, the dramatic shift. But change doesn't happen like that. You don't suddenly become disciplined. You become disciplined one quiet moment at a time. The identity shift that changes everything. Once you practice micro-discipline long enough, something subtle happens. Your self-image changes. You start to see yourself as someone who follows through, someone who keeps promises to themselves, someone who takes responsibility, someone who can handle discomfort, someone who moves forward even on difficult days. This identity shift changes your behavior at a deep level. Your brain begins to think, "This is who I am now. This is normal for me. This is something I do." And when your identity changes, your habits become automatic. You no longer fight yourself. You no longer need motivation. You no longer rely on discipline as a limited resource. Your actions become natural, effortless, part of your default setting. This is the secret to achieving anything. You don't try to change your life first. You change your identity first. And Kaizen, supported by Gaman, reshapes your identity through the smallest daily actions. The discipline built through repetition. Let's imagine something simple. You want to improve your health. You don't start with a diet. You don't start with a workout plan. You don't start with a huge lifestyle change. You start with drinking 1 glass of water each morning. That's it. This is your micro-habit. At first, it feels like nothing. But over time, this tiny habit becomes a daily anchor. A small victory. A reminder that you can control your actions. After a few weeks, you naturally add another small habit, maybe a 5-minute walk. Later, maybe you add 1 healthy meal. Then, maybe you stretch for 2 minutes. Then, maybe you cut 1 unhealthy snack. Each step is small, but each step adds to your identity. And every time you repeat the habit, your discipline grows stronger. This is the discipline people admire, but rarely understand. They see the final result. They see the transformation, but they never see the tiny steps repeated hundreds of times in silence. Those small steps are what create the life people compliment later. The invisible growth that compounds over time. Discipline is not about the size of your actions today. It's about what happens when those actions are repeated for months, years, decades. One small improvement repeated every day becomes automatic, natural, expected, effortless. This is where Kaizen thrives. Because Kaizen is not about massive change. It's about continuous growth. If you grow 1% each day, the transformation becomes exponential. Your energy changes. Your mood changes. Your habits change. Your confidence changes. Your environment changes. Your possibilities change. And the most beautiful part? You rarely notice the transformation as it's happening. It sneaks up on you. It grows quietly. It matures slowly. Then one day, you realize you're living a life you once believed was impossible. That is the gift of small discipline. Why discipline without kindness fails. There is a misconception that discipline requires harshness, that you need to punish yourself, criticize yourself, or push yourself brutally. But discipline without kindness collapses quickly. Self-criticism destroys consistency. Self-blame destroys identity. Self-hatred destroys patience. Kaizen works because it is gentle. Gaman works because it is patient. They do not require you to be perfect. They ask you to be consistent. They do not demand intensity. They ask for presence. They do not punish you for mistakes. They ask you to return with humility. Together, they make discipline sustainable, human, compassionate, effective. The discipline of returning. Perhaps the most important part of discipline is this. You will fall. You will fail. You will skip days. You will struggle. You will feel unmotivated. You will doubt yourself. This is normal, expected, human. Kaizen doesn't ask you to avoid falling. Gaman doesn't ask you to avoid discomfort. They ask for something else. Return. No matter how small the step, return. If you missed a day, return. If you broke a streak, return. If you lost focus, return. If you slipped into an old habit, return. The act of returning is more powerful than never failing. Because every time you return, you rewrite your identity. You reinforce your values. You strengthen your self-trust. Returning is discipline. Returning is progress. Returning is how you win. The discipline that makes anything possible. At this point, you may realize something important. Discipline is not a personality trait. You are not born disciplined or born undisciplined. Discipline is a muscle, and Kaizen gives you the lightest weight to start with. Gaman teaches you to keep lifting even on difficult days. Over time, the muscle becomes stronger. The identity becomes clearer. The habits become automatic. And what once felt impossible begins to feel natural. That is the quiet power of discipline. It changes who you are, so you can change what you do. Chapter 4. When discipline becomes identity. There comes a point in every journey of self-improvement where the rules, the routines, and the structure stop feeling like something you're forcing yourself to do. They stop feeling like chores. They stop feeling like obligations. They stop feeling like the list of tasks you must complete in order to prove that you are improving. Instead, they become something else, something deeper, something quieter, something far more powerful. They become part of who you are. People think discipline is hard. They think discipline is pain. They imagine it as waking up at 4 in the morning, running until your legs burn, repeating tasks again and again while everyone else is asleep. That idea sells well in motivational videos, but it's far from the truth. Real discipline is rarely loud. It rarely looks intense. Real discipline is subtle. Sometimes it's boring, but the magic is exactly in that simplicity. Real discipline is not about heroic effort. It's about identity. That is the stage where both Kaizen and Gaman merge into something that operates inside you, without effort. Kaizen builds the pathway. Gaman gives you the strength to walk that pathway even when the wind blows against you. But identity is what happens when your brain stops asking, "Should I do this?" because it already knows the answer. People who achieve extraordinary things do not rely on motivation. They barely rely on self-control. Instead, they rely on something much more reliable, a quiet internal belief that says, "This is who I am now." But reaching that point takes time. It takes repetition, and it takes a certain emotional maturity that most people never develop, not because they can't, but because they're looking for the wrong signs. They want fireworks. They want sudden breakthroughs. They want dramatic moments where everything changes. But identity doesn't work like that. It changes quietly, silently, almost invisibly. Let me explain how this transformation happens. Phase 1. The body follows the mind. At first, every habit you try to build feels annoying. You don't want to do it. You drag your feet. You try to negotiate with yourself. Your brain tries to convince you that skipping today is not a big deal. And at this stage, the only thing that pushes you forward is effort. You try because you want to become better. You try because you have a goal. You try because you're tired of your old life. This is the stage where most people give up, because they believe effort should immediately create results. But that's not how change works. The early stage is only the foundation. Nothing exciting happens here, but everything important happens here. At this stage, discipline is external. It's like training a dog. You tell yourself what to do, and then you try to obey your own instructions. Phase 2. The mind follows the body. Then something interesting begins. After enough repetition, your body starts doing things without the same resistance. It feels less painful. It feels less annoying. Your brain stops sending you arguments and excuses. The habit stops feeling like a threat. The resistance becomes softer. This is where Gaman comes in. Gaman is quiet endurance. It's the ability to continue without dramatic emotion. It's the strength to stay still in discomfort without letting the discomfort define you. Gaman is what keeps you walking through the fog until the fog finally lifts. And yes, it always lifts. People rarely notice this moment, but it's a turning point. Your brain begins accepting the habit as normal. It no longer views it as a challenge. It no longer views it as punishment. Instead, it sees it as routine. This is where most people feel their first real taste of peace. The task is still there. The work is still there. But the emotional weight that made it feel impossible starts disappearing. Phase 3. The habit becomes neutral. If you stay consistent, something even more surprising happens. The habit becomes neutral. You no longer hate it. You no longer fear it. You no longer need motivation to start. The effort becomes natural. This is when people around you begin noticing changes. But you don't, because you are too close to it. Just like Kaizen teaches, tiny improvements pile up so slowly that you barely feel them. But everyone around you can see the difference. Your posture changes. Your attention changes. Your reactions change. Your confidence changes. You start smelling your own progress before you fully see it. Something inside you says, I'm becoming someone else. You may not say it out loud, but you feel it. Quietly, internally, the friction of your old self begins to fade. Phase 4, Identity Shift. The real transformation happens when these habits stop being something you do and become something you are. This is not a motivational idea. It's real neuroscience. Your brain creates pathways based on repetition. The more consistent you are, the deeper those pathways become. And eventually, your brain switches from trying to being. For example, you're no longer a person who tries to exercise. You become someone who doesn't feel normal without movement. You're no longer someone who forces themselves to study. You become someone who feels uneasy when they don't learn something new. You're no longer someone who is trying to quit junk food. You become someone who automatically chooses better options without thinking. This is what people misunderstand about discipline. They think it's a constant battle, an endless struggle. But the truth is, discipline becomes easy once it becomes part of your identity. The hard part is not the habit. The hard part is becoming the person who does the habit without internal conflict. In Japan, there is a concept called shu-hai-ri. It describes the 3 stages of mastery. Shu, follow the rules. Ha, break the rules and adapt them. Ri, become the rules. You begin by forcing yourself. You end by expressing the discipline naturally. Why most people never reach this stage? The reason most people fail to change their lives is simple. They never hold on long enough to reach identity shift. They quit somewhere between phase 1 and phase 2 because they think discomfort means something is wrong. They think progress should feel good. They think motivation should carry them. But Kaizen doesn't care about feelings. Gaman doesn't care about motivation. Identity doesn't care about temporary discomfort. This is why Japanese systems are so effective. They do not aim to change your emotions. They aim to change your identity through consistent action. Emotions are unreliable. Identity is permanent. Once something becomes part of your identity, you don't negotiate with yourself anymore. You don't debate. You don't postpone. You don't ask, should I? You already know the answer. The peace that comes after the storm. Something beautiful happens when self-discipline becomes identity. Your life becomes quieter. The noise in your head fades. You no longer fight with yourself. You no longer spend hours planning how to improve. You simply live in a way that aligns with the person you became. Most people think discipline takes away freedom, but the real truth is the opposite. Lack of discipline is what steals your freedom. When you rely on motivation, you're controlled by your emotions. When you rely on habits that haven't yet become part of you, you're controlled by resistance. But when discipline becomes identity, you are free. Your mind stops arguing. Your body stops fighting you. You live with a sense of inner stability that most people never experience. You become someone who can trust yourself. The final merge of Kaizen and Gaman. Kaizen teaches you how to improve gently. Gaman teaches you how to endure quietly. When these two merge, they create a third force, a stable identity that moves forward without drama. This is the form of discipline that helps a person achieve anything. Not intensity, not motivation, not pressure, but quiet, steady, identity-level discipline. And the most beautiful part? Once you reach this stage, you never go back. Because you're no longer trying to become someone better. You already are that person. If you learned something today, hit like, subscribe, and share the method with someone who needs it. And let me know in the comments which habit you're trying to break. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.